Good morning, kindergarten scholars. It's now time to do our math worksheet. You should be on side 7A. 7A. The A side is what we always do in class, and then the B side will be for homework for our half-day students, and for our full-day students, we will work on that in the afternoon after our recess time. So the very first thing we always do on our worksheets is put our name on the top. So we're going to put our name on the top of our worksheet. Okay, now Mr. Saxon would like us to practice writing some numbers. Our first number is the number 2. We're going to trace the number 2. You're going to put your pencil on the start dot and say our rhyme. Around and back on a railroad track. 2, 2. Make sure that you always keep your numbers safely nestled between the ceiling and the floor. They should not be up in the attic and they should not be in the basement. Our next number is the number 3. Put your pencil on the start dot and say our rhyme. Around a tree and around a tree, that's the way to make a 3. And lastly, the number 7. Do you remember our rhyme for 7? Across the sky and down from heaven, that's the way to make a 7. Very good. Now we will write the numbers 2, 3, and 7, starting at each start dot. Okay, are you ready? Around and back on a railroad track. 2, 2. The next one. Around a tree and around a tree. That's the way to make a 3. And lastly, down, across, that's the number 7. Across the sky and down from heaven, that's the way to make a 7. Across the sky and down from heaven, that's the way to make a 7. Very good. Now, one of the things that we would be working on today is telling your left hand from your right hand. Now, if you make an L with your left hand and an L with your right hand, you can see that the L made with my left hand is in the proper direction for a capital L. So that can remind you that that is your left hand. If you look at the L made on my right hand, it's backwards. Also, if you're wearing your Bradford polo that has the logo on it, the logo will always be on the left-hand side. So when we stand to do our Pledge of Allegiance, we take our right hand and put it over our heart, which is on the left side of your polo. So practice this weekend telling your left hand from your right hand. Okay? So Mr. Saxon would like us to point to the square on the right. Which square is on the right? That is correct. This square is on the right-hand side. And Mr. Saxon would like us to put the number 4. The number 4 in the square. Down, across, then down some more. That's the way to make a 4. Very good. Now, Mr. Saxon would like us to point to the square on the left and write the number 3 in the square. Around a tree and around a tree. That's the way to make a 3. Very good. So if you are still unfamiliar and you can't tell right away your left from your right hand, practice this weekend with Mom and Dad, raising your right hand, then your left hand, your left hand, your right hand, and make a game out of it so that you will quickly learn to Identify your left hand and your right hand. Very good. Now, we need to get our red crayon and our blue crayon. So get your red crayons out and your blue crayon. I seem to only have a light blue in my crayon pack, so I am going to use a light blue. Okay, now number 3. Mr. Saxon would like us to color the circles red. So we're going to take our red crayon and color all of the circles red, trying to stay in the lines as best we can. Okay, do you see any other circles? Yes, there's another circle in the center. And lastly, there's one more circle down here. Okay, very good. Now, Mr. Saxon would like us to take our blue crayon and color in the squares blue. Color the squares blue. Do you see some squares? Good. There's a square there. And a square here. And a square here. And a square here. And now we are going to answer some questions about what we just colored over here. How many circles? How many circles do we have? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 circles, so we're going to write the number 3. Around a tree and around a tree. That's the way to make a 3. Now, Mr. Saxon would like us to count the squares. How many squares? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 squares. We are going to write 4 on our line. Down, across, then down some more. That's the way to make a 4. And lastly, how many circles and squares together? All together. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 circles and squares. Across the sky and down from heaven, that's the way to make a 7. Very good. We're going to move down to number 4. And Mr. Saxon would like us to count how many objects are in each line. How many are in each row? You'll see school buses up in the first row. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 school buses in row 1. So we're going to write the number 5. Short neck, belly fat. Number 5 wears a hat. Good. Row 2. How many boots? 1, 2. There are 2 boots in the second row. So we're going to write a number 2. Around and back on a railroad track. 2, 2. And lastly, in the third row, how many cars? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 cars in the third row. Down, across, then down some more. That's the way to make a 4. Very good. Now, Mr. Saxon would like us to circle the row with the most. That means the largest number. Which row has the most in it? That is correct. The row with the school buses has 5 objects. That is the most or the largest number of objects in a row. Now, go ahead and do the back side of your worksheet. Fill it out, then take it to mom or dad and have them correct it. Maybe if you are unable to read the question, you can have mom or dad read it for you and complete your backside homework. I hope that you have a great weekend, and Lord willing, I will be seeing you all soon.